So just now we were discussing about the ownership, right? The ownership of data is like just now the same example again. The user one is creating role one, role two. User one becomes the owner of the role one and role two. And when user one is deleted from the system, role one and role two also get deleted. So that was the problem with the current setup of how the system has been designed. Okay, so ownership of data plays a major crucial role when we are creating the data. Right. Next, coming to restricted user accounts. Public role is not assigned, which is responsible for the login into the system. First thing, for the first difference. So let us see the creation of restricted user account. Same way, I will remove this. Right click on the users. You have the second one, new restricted user. Two different options for standard account and restricted user account. So you see by default, it is selected here. Disable ODBC JDBC access has been enabled by default. Okay, let me create now. MRF restore REF restore restricted user account. Password, it doesn't allow the password. You can define the password, but system will not allow that. Validity from and validity to. And now I'm not assigning any role. Deploy. Yeah. MRF restricted user one has been created. Let me close this and reopen that account. MRF restricted user one. The first thing is this is ticked here. Disable ODBC JDBC means the user will not be allowed to log in. And the second thing is the public role is not assigned. Okay, for which is assigned to standard user accounts. And if I go to object privileges, there is no schema created. You see on this name. For MRF user one, there was a schema created and even the user has access to it. But for reference user, restricted user, the schema is not created, the role is not assigned, and this is ticked. Disable ODBC, JDBC is ticked. Is it clear all of you so far? Those are the two differences between the restricted user account and the normal user account. Okay, that's about restricted user accounts. Can we convert the restricted user accounts into standard user accounts or vice versa? In the earlier version, it was not possible. So this was, I think we don't need all these things, but for your information, initially when first HANA 1.0 was launched, when you create a restricted user account, you cannot make it back into a normal account. There is no chance. But now if you want to make it, you know, right, you have to just disable that, untick that, and assign the public role. So that is that becomes a standard user account. So but in HANA 2.0 now we can, all the by default the systems are now HANA 2.0. So in those days, this initial days, this was supposed to be an interview question, but now it was not no more a question, but still for your information. Now, why do you think this end users will be creating as registered user accounts? How they will access the report? Suppose I told you HANA-DB will act as a data source. On top of that, the queries or views are written, right?
Yes.
So how do you think they can access those reports or views?
By the URL, the portal, the link, the Fury tiles, the codes.
Yeah. So generally, if you see, how does a end user log in into this is what? This is your database bottom. Individual accounts or standard user accounts, they can directly log in into the database. The big arrow here shows represents. But when it comes to end users, you see on the top, user U1, U2, U3, U4, U5, they are logging into an application. The application can be any front-end application. That could be any one of them like BPC, BO, Power BI, or Fiori. So they are logging into Fiori or a front end. From there, they try to execute the report. There is an RFC ID which connects to the database application account. That ID will go and check whether user U1, when user 1 is executing the report, first check will be done whether user 1 record exists in the database. That is first check. Second check, does this user 1 has access to the specified report? That is the second check happens. And then the data will be displayed for user 1 in the application level. So from this, what you have to understand is end user is not directly logging into the database. He is indirectly logging in, correct? He is indirectly logging in through an application or something. Is that clear, all of you so far?
Please repeat that one more time, Sridhar.
So I'm saying that, see the difference between U1 login, how U1 is logging in, and the individual account here. For example, individual account you can take our as our account, security account or a basis account. How they are logging in and how a end user is logging in, U1 is logging in. The individual account are directly logging into HANA database using HANA Studio or something, the application. We are using in HANA Studio and we are logging in directly. But if you see here, there is an application, front-end application where U1 is logging in. The front-end application can be a reporting tool like BPC system or a BO, business objects, or it could be Power BI, or it could be even Fiori system. Okay. And from there, for example, he's using Fiori. In Fiori, he can see icon like report related to sales report, a tile. When he clicks on the tile to see the report, the system will go through the RFC, the application account, and check in the backend system, the database, whether user exists and whether user has access to the report or not. And then the user 2 or user 1 will be displayed with the report data. So what you have to understand here is the user is not directly logging into the database, correct?
Yes.
So that is what I'm telling. That is the reason we are creating the end users as a restricted user accounts. We should not allow them to log in.
Okay.
We can allow them, but the problem is because of lack of experience or lack of knowledge, if that users will do some changes in the database level, it would be disastrous for us.
Mm. Okay, thank you.
Right. Now coming to user account naming convention. So these are the alphabets and numerics allowed for naming a user ID. Only underscore is allowed. Nothing else is allowed. Numerics are allowed 0 to 9 and alphabets A to Z are allowed. User creation, three different ways we can do it. SQL statements we can use to create user. Hana Studio we have just seen. This I will show you in the next week probably because I don't have the link currently. IDE link. SQL statements. Let us see SQL statements now. So creating with Hana Studio we have seen just now. These are the screenshots. Where to click? Right click on the users. User click on new user. What details we need to enter. Okay, let us complete the other details like user deletion now first. And then we will go to the SQL scripts. So to delete a user, right click on the ID you want to delete and then click on the delete option. So when I click on delete, this option you are getting. Do you want to delete user? Confirmation system is taking. And then you have two options. Restrict and then cascade. Restrict and cascade. So what is the difference between the restrict and cascade? We'll try to discuss this now. Restrict in brackets you can see, if dependent objects exist, neither the user nor any of the objects he or she owns will be deleted. Understood the statement, all of you? So let me try to explain you with an example here now. What is the meaning of this statement? If dependent objects exist, so this is like a question you can get in interview. What is the difference between restrict and cascade in user deletion? So for example, scenario, we are taking a scenario. Schema 1 is owned by user 1. Okay. Schema 1 is owned by user 1. And then data 1, data 2, data 3. Three different types of data was created by user 1. So the owner of the schema is user 1. The owner of all the data under the schema is also owner 1. Whereas in the scenario 2, what do you see here? The owner of the schema is user 1. But you see the data 1 is created by user 1. Data 2 is created by user 2. Data 3 is created by user 3. So now, this data 2 and data 3 are called as dependent objects. Read the statement again. What is the meaning of this restrict here given? If dependent objects exist, neither the user nor any of the objects he or she owns will be deleted. Understood what is the meaning of dependent objects here? Data 2 and data 3 are considered to be as a dependent objects because user 1 is not the owner of the data. Somebody else is the owner of the data. So that's why these two will become the dependent objects. Okay.
But if the user one is the owner, he will have the data one only. Why he will have the data two and data three?
So we cannot stop other users. If you are giving access to schema 1 to all users, they can anytime come and create under your schema and they can create the data there.
Okay. So one, that's what. Okay, so it is not like that. The schema is only owned by one user. That same schema can be owned by multiple users.
No, owned is always by one user, but the access can be granted to other users to create data inside.
Okay.
There is a possibility. Clear, all of you?
So if you delete the user one, the
Uh,
restricted user.
First, try to understand the definition of these dependent objects. What is the definition of dependent objects? If there is other people data, other users data inside your schema, that is called as dependent objects. Okay? All of you clear with the definition now? What is the meaning of dependent objects? Now coming back to restrict. If a dependent object exists, neither the user nor any of the objects he or she owns will be deleted. So means if I am choosing restrict option in scenario 1, whether a user will be deleted or not.
Will be deleted.
What about scenario 2?
User one deleted. Not deleted.
Will be deleted. User will be deleted for sure.
So in both options will be deleted, you are saying.
Yes.
Read the statement again. I'm going back to the screenshot again.
What the
Restrict
sentence is
in
wrong.
brackets. If dependent objects exist, neither the user nor any of the objects he or she owns will be deleted. What is the meaning of neither
Never
or?
not. Okay. They will not be deleted.
In which case the user will not be deleted? Scenario 1 or scenario 2?
Scenario two.
Scenario 2, because the same schema 1 is shared by 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Understood all of you now? Yes, in
Yeah.
scenario 2, user 1 will not be deleted because there is a dependent data, because system will try to delete schema 1 also. And then it checks schema 1 contains other people's data. So this becomes a dependent object. Hence it will stop deleting the either all the data or the user also. But in the first case,
Okay. So when we don't have any dependency, I mean whatever that particular person has created will be gone.
yes.
Because I
So
have faced situations like that.
in the scenario 1,
Yeah.
complete data means user 1 will be deleted, schema 1 also will get deleted. Means schema 1
Even
includes
the
all the data.
assignments were deleted. In our case, we have access to HANA database, but
Uh-huh.
not in very detail, as you said, and we only under creation user administration. So what
Yeah.
we have done is, as part of a cleanup activity for an audit, we have deleted one of the accounts from the system, who
Right.
was the security admin, and we
Okay.
have selected this first option. maybe the reason we don't have any dependency objects for that particular schema, the
Uh,
entire data which he was created, and the
hmm.
assignments and the role assignments for the users, for the different users, were also deleted as part of that user assignment
Correct.
deletion.
Exactly. So
So
means
he didn't, I mean, I didn't understand at that particular point. Now I understood why it was deleted.
might
Yeah,
be that user
thanks
one
for
has
that.
done the assignment for user five, for example. Okay,
Hmm.
understood. User one might have done some user assignment, some role assignment.
Yes, yes.
So this also will get deleted. That assignment will get
Okay.
deleted for user five.
So how can we stop that, Sridhar? I mean, okay, deletion of objects. I mean, when we are deleting, if the user has created in restricted option, you said, right? Uh,
No.
the,
These users are creating the data means they are not end users. They could be they are definitely from the technical teams like BW
I'm only
team.
talking about administrator. But what question I have is, uh, if we have to, I mean, if we want to save the data, for example, this particular whatever I was discussed, the admin, security admin has created some objects as well, auth objects, while creating the roles in database.
Uh-huh.
So those were also deleted as part of this user deletion, because this user doesn't belong to the company anymore or the project anymore. So we thought like we can delete it, but we don't know actual background things that will happen in the deletion. So what we have observed is, so whatever the user has assigned, that I mean roles assignment, that was deleted for all the users whom he has assigned in the past. And auth objects, how can we preserve the things that he has created as part of a role or something like that?
Yeah. So this is where the problem comes with the organizations. The problem is if they have a proper guidance and a proper setup procedure to create the data. So generally, what we do, what I have seen in my other organizations where they have done is they will create a special schema on the company name. Okay,
Okay.
so that schema they might be created through what they do. They will be creating with the standard ID. The basis team will create. The
Okay.
basis team will log in with the standard ID and create a schema on the company name. For example, MRF, right? They will create a schema called MRF. Okay,
Okay.
and we have to guide every user like a BW team or everybody. I'll show you that. Don't worry about it. For
Okay.
example, I'll show you the existing data. So schema is one part. There is another thing which is called as repository data. I told you, right?
Yeah, repository data. That's what
Yes.
I wanted to understand the difference.
Yes. So schema is one thing, but generally we are not allowed to create data under the schemas. But generally, what we do is this is the way we do. We will create a structure like this. This is my company. What you say? This is called as a repository data, and we call this as a package. I will create a different packages for my team, basis team, BW team, security team, and
Mm-hmm.
under that you can see different folders are there, like article privileges, roles. So means if any user, security consultant wants to create a role, he will not just randomly go and create anywhere. The procedure has to he has to come under this ATT folder. He has to open the security tab under that roles. Inside this, he has to create a role or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
this is like a procedure we have to establish. Means whichever security consultant is creating, they have to create under this standard, this setup. So when that user is deleted, he is not creating under his own schema or under his own data, right? This is created by somebody else. ATT. In the standard setup, during the installation time, we created this.
Okay.
So this will remain there as it is, but the users will be coming and going. They will be creating under the different folders, so they will be remain as it. This is repository data. The owner is also by
Okay.
different person. So we will not be creating under the schemas. We will be creating under the packages. So what is the package thing? I'll discuss again. Why we should create as a package, not under the schema. So under the schema also I can create it. This is my schema. MRF user, right? We don't have can see, but this is a other test. So under this I can create. These are the views I created. I can create it, but we should not allow the users to create the data under their own schemas. We cannot consider also. So we are always we should instruct the users to create under the standard setup, standards, tabs, and data. So that's the problem. If you will face definitely face if you are allowing the users to create wherever they want. So that is, I think you will be learning about. So initially you might be doing these mistakes, but when you see that some consequences are occurring about it, you'll understand what has to be done and how it should be done.
So is it? I mean, schema is different space that was created for every individual, and
Yeah,
repository is the one. Uh, that is the standard one. That's what you mean, right, Sridhar? Is it right understanding?
correct.
Okay.
Schema is user specific, whereas repository data is not user specific.
Repository data is always like a standard schema.
Correct. It's owned by standard IDs, and it is under the standard schema called sys. That schema will get never deleted. Our data will remain safe.
Okay, so we need to encourage people to create it in under, the standard schema, that is repository, when they are creating such, such things as auth objects or roles as part of a
Uh,
security. Only I'm discussing,
yeah,
not in developmental basis. So that in that case, if the user is also deleted, then the objects or the roles that the person has created will not be deleted. But the thing is that for sure assignment will go away. That's what you mean, right? I mean,
no,
assignment
no.
of roles to the different users will be
No.
deleted.
Even the role assignment will not go if that has been done as a repository data. That you will see actually.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can show you this thing. So might be what they have done is in your case, they
Mm-hmm.
have created as a local roles, not as a repository roles.
Okay.
And then when that role is assigned, so that is all will be gone because it is not repository data.
Yeah, it was gone. I mean, then we have noticed that people do not have. I mean, luckily we had only like 20 to 25 technical uses in the system, and then we have reverted all the roles that were deleted as part of this activity. I mean, deleting one user caused so much of trouble. I mean, it is an extra time, right? So that's
Yeah,
the reason. But wanted to, I mean, no one has that knowledge about HANA database, why it was deleted, even though he has created, and we have selected the first option only. We didn't had that clarification. The reason, the second option clearly shows a different thing, right? Different meaning.
correct,
And the first
correct.
option, at least it says neither or not. Then we thought why it was deleted, but it was deleted and we have reverted everything again. So I didn't understand at that time, but now I have understood. It might have created as part of a standard schema rather than making it as a local roles.
Right.
Understood.
So here, what would have happened in
Thank
your
you.
case? In your case, what would have happened
Sorry.
is, hello.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, yes, Sridhar, I'm able to hear you.
Okay. So in your case, I was expecting is, let me explain you. They might have tried to delete a user like this first. Okay.
Yes, we
If
did.
they go with a restricted account, because this user has created a data, multiple people's data is under that, owned by him, right? Dependent objects are there.
Yes,
When I
yes.
click OK, it will not delete the user, right? Neither the user nor any of the data will be deleted. Then they would have gone for the second option, cascade.
No, we did not go for the second option. That's what I'm telling, Shredav. We have selected restrict option only, then we clicked OK. And it got an option to delete, and we have deleted the user. That's what I'm trying to say. We have
No, no.
option only.
Wait. Let me explain in more detail. In the restrict option, if this is the case, as I told you, if that schema owned by the user has the dependent data, it will not be
Maybe we
deleted.
don't have any dependent, what I'm trying to say. Maybe he has used his own schema for his own building up roles for team and everything. He has
Do you know,
created
did you delete
locally,
or
I believe.
someone else deleted it? Who deleted that?
One of my, she's also a security administrator. One
Okay.
of my
So the
colleagues has
possibility is
deleted.
that I'm talking about is, she might have tried the first option called restrict. After restrict and click on OK, the ID might not be deleted. Then they would have chosen cascade and then deleted. In cascade,
No. We have done it on remote. We have selected the first option to delete only.
okay.
That's
But
what.
the
That's
second
what.
option is
That's
also,
what. Where my question arises.
uh, but the second option is more this one actually dangerous.
Yeah, more
Cascade is
dangerous. That's the reason we have selected one. So either of the options user will be deleted. But the thing is that if there is no dependency, if we might
uh,
have created locally, I thought that, that is the reason why the roles assignment were deleted as part of user. For sure, user will be deleted in both the options. That's what I have noticed. But the objects and the assignment, whatever the activity he has done, that was also deleted because that was not created under standard schema. That's what I understood.
yeah,
Because for sure we have deleted that user as part of an audit activity, and we have faced this issue, and then we thought like not to delete any of the users for now because we don't know more about database security. And then we have understood to only explicitly deactivate the users if they are not part of the organization or the project. That's what we have decided later on, because for sure that, and we caused this problem for the first option only. I'm sure it is very much clear, and it was in recently a month ago or 2 months ago. So that's the reason I remember very clearly we have selected the first option.
okay, okay,
So
fine.
once we delete, then we can't revert. Means it you that if we create the same username with the same ID, will the objects will be attached back to it or no?
No, it
It is
doesn't
not
happen.
possible, Shraddha. Yeah, it's same like, at least in SAP we'll have an option to check it in the change documents what roles have been assigned, but I don't think in database it is not at all possible. And we don't have any option like how this user created as part of which ticket it is created. We don't have any option to document in the database as well. Right, Sridhar?
Yeah, yeah. Audit logs are a bit here difficult for us to
Yeah, a bit
process.
strange. Yeah, and it is difficult to understand also, and it becomes more difficult in audit purposes when we are facing any external audits and everything. We cannot give a right justification why this user created, for what purpose he was created, and everything. Maybe depending upon the roles, we can only give that justification, but not if that person normally exists in the system, then we cannot give any we cannot give any proper justification until unless we find some ticket in the request, in the ticketing tool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the best example we can take. So she is in a we have. So you have to be very careful when deleting it. But if you follow the process correctly from the beginning, then you might not face this problem. Like creating the data under the proper structures, like the packages. So as I told, we'll see that in the next classes, coming up classes, how to create the data and where to create the data as a repository. So we will may not face any problem anymore. So here the two cases, as I told you, in the restrict option will delete the user only when all the objects are owned by user himself under his schema.
Hmm.
And the second option does not check that at all. Cascade will option will delete the user and also remove all the objects, revoke all the privileges granted by the user. It does not check for dependent objects at all. So this is more dangerous one. If there is a data, so restrict at least is giving you option to check there is some other data inside the schema of the user. But cascade option does not give that option. It will directly delete. It is more dangerous than the first one. Okay, so two options. So in our case, if I go with the delete now, and even if I choose restrict also, it will get deleted. Why? Because this MRF restricted user did not create any data and the schema is clear. Okay, it is gone, deleted. So only MRF user one is there. Even though I have chosen the restrict option, it was deleted because there is no dependent objects for that user. Right. So that's about the delete option. Difference between cascade and restrict. So let's see the now views, user account system views. Like there are some standard reports from user point of view. So that views are under standard schema. So schemas I told you will find under catalogs. These are all the schemas. Sys is one of the standard schema. Under that you can go to views, and inside these views you can see. Let me delete the filter. Right, these are the views we have. These are all standard views. So in order to restrict, in order to filter, I apply a filter on these views here. Filter, type the word user. See, you can see all the views related to users. So let me click on users first, right click on it, data preview, open data preview so that you can see the data on the right hand side. So this is the data what we have. Users, 125 rows are there. You can also check it in the form of analysis also. Like for example, if I want to check how many users are created by created creator name and then username, you can see some analysis you can put from the tables, from the views. Rest ID created 70 plus IDs. Sys ID created 15 IDs, approximate 16. System created 8. Sys underscore creation is this, etc. So this is analysis. Analysis you can put in a different diagrammatic representations. The data can be represented in different format.
Can you
These are
show?
standard.
Yeah, see that. How did you went to this one? Because the graphical view is good, so it will help in some presentations. So,
Okay. So when I go to the view, right click on the view name and then data preview, open data preview. So this is a raw data in a tabular format. Okay. First tab. Second tab, distinct values. Distinct means what? Suppose I want to see only username. It will pull out usernames. And then I want to see creator name. See this one. Creator. Best created 74. This is again tabular format only, but only single particular field you are selecting.
Okay.
Sridhar,
But
is it also possible? Sorry.
tell me.
Uh,
Go on.
is it also possible to see what data they own? For example, as a security administrator, if we are creating any data as I've discussed, can we also see that data in views?
There is no standard view for it. Maybe you can talk to your BW team and you can create a view for it.
Uh-huh.
They can do it.
Okay.
There is no standard one for it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as we can see this data, creator has created how many user accounts and everything. So in the
Yeah,
same way, we cannot see what anything that is related to roles or auth objects or something like that. We cannot see that data, right?
we have
Complete.
views. You need to search the views basically here.
Uh, okay.
So go and apply the filter and check if you have anything related to roles. So
Uh
these are
huh.
the granted roles, data preview. So these are the granted roles.
Okay.
Grantee, grantee type, role name, grantor. Who is the grantor? You can see here.
Okay.
I go to distinct values. I want to see grantee name, grantor. Okay, best has granted approximately to 52 users.
Uh huh.
TCS user one has granted to one user.
Hmm.
And then what you want to see, then you can just play with it. What role name, which
Hmm.
role granted. So all those things you have to just play with the reports here.
Okay.
So as we are discussing about users, let us focus on users now. Later we can come to roles.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
this is
Sure.
the distinct values. You can double click on a particular field name and you can see the data on the right hand side related to that. And the more comfortable one will be analysis. In analysis, you can pull into x-axis and y-axis like a bar diagrams. So for example, you have to pull correctly. Like for example, if I pull username here and then creator name below, it does not make a sense. See, this diagrammatic not making sense. You need to know which should be on y-axis, which value should be in the x-axis correctly. So in the y-axis, I should have the creator and the usernames in the y-axis. So that is where you are getting the diagram correctly. So drag and pull the fields basically. That's it. And accordingly, you can see the data. User deactivated. So just you have to drag and drop so that you can see how the data is coming up, and accordingly you can check the. So we have around user related views are around 5 or 6. These are all standard ones. Filter, type the word user, okay, and you can see the data here. These are the views. So the most important is the user one. User parameters is like, let me show you. The parameters include parameters like email ID, priority, locality, all these details. Where can you fill these details? Find these details. When I am creating the user, MRF user 1, we have a tab on the right. See, on the top, user parameters. Here I can create a parameters like what all parameters: email address, locality, priority, statement, memory limit, time zone. So email address, for example, mrf underscore user 1 at the rate of mrf.com. I have defined it. So this will be shown in my report now. Just refresh, and here I can see my mrf user 1, the email ID I have updated in the report. So which users have what parameters defined, you can check here. Okay, so just check with these reports. Under what is the path for it? Under catalog, under the schema sys, go for the views. Under the views, apply the filter for the user one, and you can check the all the views, available views. If you want some customized review, you can inform your BW team. They can do it for you. So you can tell the what fields you need, and then what is the format you need. They can pull out it and they can create a view for you.
Suppose if you want to access this view without going to HANA Studio, can we give? Because I see some users, they access the views. I'm not sure how they're accessing. As you mentioned, the BW team creates the views, but I don't think so they will use the HANA Studio. Is there another way where we can access the views other than?
Exactly. That's what I told you here, right? End user will never log in into HANA Studio. They will log in into application. I told you. What is application? Power BI. It could be Power BI. It could be BO, business objects.
Okay, I think
They
they are
click on the
logging.
view and they can see the data from there itself.
Maybe they're
So we
accessing.
need to grant that access to the user. The view access.
Got it.
Yep. Okay. I'll stop it for here today. We'll continue next week again. So next week we will go into, I will show you that web portal one, user administration. We will see the how to create through SQL scripts, and then web portal IDE, and then we will jump onto the privileges and roles concept.
Sure. Sridhar, did I miss anything in the first 15 minutes? I mean, anything important?
Nothing. I was just discussing about the login part. HANA Studio, how to log in into HANA Studio. I have given the screenshots in the document. You can just follow that.
Yeah, sure.
If you have any questions, you ping me in the chat.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Just wanted to confirm.
Yeah. Okay, right then. If no questions, I'll close it for today.
Yeah, we'll meet up next week then.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank